How was your morning, babe?
It was good. I woke up and I was like, am I hungover or am I just tired?
Because you know that age, when you get to that age where like,
One drink feels like 7.
the bones be creaking and popping. Other day I was having sex and I heard my hip go crack. And I was like, not this.
During sex?
Yes. This one hip goes crack. But that means I'm getting it in good though.
I mean, you're putting in work.
Putting in the work, but these bones not as supple as they used to be.
All right, let's do this.
Yes. Cheers, mama. Clank, clank, clank. Not me sweating, but we doing it. I'm about to get up.
Oh my gosh. I'm ready to get into these questions because you led me to the right place. So because we're in the bar that could double as a porn set, we're gonna start off by asking a question. You've been well documented to be liberal about underwear wearing.
Sure.
Are you wearing underwear today?
Yes, I'd think about it, but yes.
Do you think I'm wearing underwear?
No, I don't.
I am.
Oh.
But we're matching now.
Okay, we're good.
Anyway, before we get into anything too spicy, I definitely want to say thank you for being here because I know you are booked and blessed, as you should be, as being a voice actor and a writer on human resources and Big Mouth and publishing your first book.
Crazy.
Okay? You're in your Toni Morrison era.
Come on, baby. Come on. Yes, I am.
You show up so beautifully in the world, and I just want to say, how do you do that in a world, specifically as a Black queer person, that wants to stifle your voice? How do you show up unapologetically like yourself?
Honestly, it's through community. And I'll tell you, people like yourself, before we ever met, I remember watching your videos on Instagram and your characters and stuff like that. And finding different queer people who were unapologetic and who were putting out their content and putting out their work and showing themselves in value. And that really inspired me to do the same and think that I could do the same.
Yeah.
So it's community. It's latching on to any kind of example that you see, and remembering how it makes you feel and then wanting to give that back. Showing
up in these spaces and thank you for saying that. It's very sweet. But watching your Messy Mondays and your Thot Thursdays, it's disrespectful because sometimes you're on a train and you hear you talking about the things you talk about. I'm like, oh, let me silence
headphone zone. Yes. Good morning. It's Monday. Messy Monday. So tell me something good or tell me something messy, honey.
Some of the strongest activism comes from comedy and truth and the mess of it all. Is there anything Messy Mondays and Thot Thursdays has taught you as an activist of how to approach these topics?
Yeah, I think my activism is really rooted in curiosity. And I said this even in dealing when we were talking about Black Lives Matter a lot in that 2020 space where it's I'm not interested in talking to people who don't think my life matters, right? I'm not interested in convincing you that my life matters, but I am interested in people who are I want to understand what is happening. Right. I want to understand what your experience is. If you're coming at it from curiosity, then I'm down to have a conversation. And I want to stay curious. That's actually, in talking about anti-racism, I was like, oh, what are my privileges, in this male body inside of the queer community, and what are the ways in which I can support the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, and all of that. That's actually how I started reckoning with my gender identity. I was like, oh, we don't talk about asexuality, we don't talk about non-binary people. How can I amplify and lift and protect that part of our community? And in that, I was like, oh, in that curiosity is when I discovered my own kind of reckoning and identity.
Yeah, because even in some of the prompts about Messy Mondays or Thot Thursdays, you do get really great experiences what it means to have sex as a Black gay man or a trans woman, and people are watching this entertained, but also learning.
Yes, I try to also put everything out there as not weird. That's the biggest thing. It's it's not weird. We're not judging. It's always this is somebody's experience and it's fabulous and let's do it. And we interweave especially the queer relationships inside of it, because I think so much of sex is always from a heterosexual, mostly white cis gaze, G-A-Z-E obviously. I always have to specify that. And so there's no holding of the queer experience or the queer sexual experience in kind of just normalcy. Right. And so I think that's what Messy Mondays, I hope, does.
Yeah. And on top of that, you have, Heaux life.
Yes.
Which is not H-O, but H-E-A-U-X.
There you go, baby.
Ooh. So what does that mean to you, Heaux life versus Heaux life?
To me, I feel like one has been riddled with this idea that it's somebody who just kind of around and doesn't give a and the other one for me, H-E-A-U-X, to me is somebody who actually is very much aware of their sexuality and wants to own it and wants to destigmatize the kind of shame around owning one's sexuality and feeling sexy and discovering the ways they can feel sexy and being curious about what they're into, what brings them pleasure, what their kinks are. We all have a kink, baby.
We do.
Let's talk about it. What's crazy to me is that sex is everywhere. It's how we sell every product. I mean, I'm here with my arms out. Like, sex is...
Sell me.
Girl, I'm selling. Sex it's a part of everything. It's in, we love our love stories. We love our cutaways to people banging on HBO.
Yeah.
And yet, no one wants to talk about it in a real way, want to explore it or explain it or share about their own insecurities and excitements and discoveries around it. And so I really want to normalize that.
Being queer, Black, showing up in a writer's room like Big Mouth, like watching that show is so refreshing because it is just like the topics, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting into this and talking about it. Being in that writer's room, do you feel empowered to be like, this is how I see the world?
I didn't at first, which was not to their fault.
Yeah.
I think it's really difficult when a lot of the writers' rooms are predominantly white. That's just what it is. White men predominantly. So when you walk into a writer's room and you're a woman, or you're queer, or you're Black, or you have a bunch of those things on you, you are navigating how to do the job. You're also navigating your imposter syndrome, and you're also navigating how there are cultural things that the room just won't understand. And now you're questioning, am I funny, or is it just a disconnect,
Yeah.
And having to learn, it's just a disconnect. And so for me, I'm a name drop because she was very helpful on the show, but I had reached out to Lena Waithe over DM, and her advice was find your ally. She's like, go in the room and find your ally. And so that's how I got through my first season of Big Mouth, was I found a couple people who I really vibed with, and every time I was nervous or scared or whatever, I talked to them. They would reassure me, and then lo and behold, now I started a mentorship program there for Black writers. And so we bring in one Black writer for 8 weeks. They have a mentor with me and other writers. They get to watch the room, because mentorship, access, transparency, that is the only way that we get equity. That's the only way that we're gonna get to see that equality and that inclusiveness that we're looking for. Go to the mat, mentorship, access, transparency.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm hard.
No, horny for diversity, baby.
Am I right? Horny for equity, all of it.
Horny for inclusion.
That actually brings me to talk about, the dinners that you host, where it's like Black, brown, POC people coming together in fellowship and partnership, because it is truly some of the most special times I have in my months when I'm in fellowship with everyone. And like, I wake up the next morning, whether I've been drinking or not, like my heart is so full. Where did that idea come from?
That gives me chills, and I'm very happy about that, because it does the same for me. That idea came, a friend of mine, Sasha Sagan, who is Carl Sagan's daughter. In another life, I used to be her trainer. And she would host these dinners called Ladies Dining Society. And she would have, and so like every month she had a standing day at the Smith in New York, and she would get a couple girls together and they would invite friends. And I loved the idea, and I wanted to be invited, and I was not invited. But I was like, but I love this idea of like, setting up a system of community. Like setting up this space where, like, I know we're busy, but like once a month. So that's where it came from. And I wanted to do it specifically with Black and brown POC queer folks, because we need that, Every time we go to WeHo, which, hi WeHo, very white, very white.
We run deep too.
And then we ride deep, the 20 of us roll up, and it's like the best night ever, because you literally feel protected. You literally feel safe. You literally feel like you don't have to explain yourself, and you feel beautiful. That's the other thing, like feeling beautiful. And so often I think as POC and as Black folks, we don't get to feel our beauty, whether it's You know, it's just white people. White people fighting.
The crux of it is it's white people, yeah. But that's the thing also, like, you know, there's a lot of talk about like, well, that's where we put ourselves in certain spaces where, you know, but it is one of those things that we kind of have to decolonize our brains to be like, wait, why am I putting myself around people that don't make me feel whole?
Yes.
So we find our community.
Yes.
And we, you know, we go, even when we're not all together, we go and we fellowship 1-on-1, 2-on-2, like, you know what I mean? So it is such a possibility model of like what the world should look like.
Yes.
And I will say I go into my industry jobs much more empowered because of knowing that I have community and people have my back. So I thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yes, that means everything, and that's what I want for everyone to know that even if you're by yourself in those spaces, which you may have to be because it's just where we are right now, you know that when you're done or if you're feeling low, that you have people who are here and ready to champion you and remind you, you that bitch, okay? You are that bitch, period.
I know that's right. Speaking of whole life and all the things you share, you are publishing your first book that I just so happen to have right here behind me.
Oh, you just so happen to have
I'm gonna hold it still. You gotta be you. How to embrace this messy life and step into who you really are.
Yeah.
When you're writing, do you have someone in mind as a reader?
Yes, me. Like little baby me, like at 3, at 10, at 15, at 21, 25, all these ages where there was a lot of internal reckoning and sadness and deep, deep, deep depression and confusion, like all of those spaces. I think my goal was to write it for me first, and knowing that if I wrote it for myself from an authentic place, it would speak to other people. And that to me is storytelling, right? Good storytelling and good art is you do it for you, the passion of you and what you need to see in the world. And because you do it from such a specific, authentic place, other people latch onto it.
Well, that's the thing about like human experiences. Like people are like, you know, me asking, who's the book for?
Yeah.
It's like, it should, all books should be for everyone, so that we can learn about each other, stay curious, and you know, learn and know more. But like, if you were to explain to baby Brandon about like, you know, what mess is, how would you do that in a way that you know, that's more friendly? Because there's such like this thing about like queerness only being for adults.
Yes.
Right? Because there's sexuality and things like that, but like, I want a kid to be able to like pick this up, you know, maybe not read it right away, but eventually get there. Well, how would you say this is how, you know, to be queer?
I think that I have to work on undoing that thing that we were indoctrinated with, which is that our sexuality is somehow 18 plus or like somehow 21 plus, but you can't talk about it. Whereas literally, you know, I was watching straight people kiss on TV, watching our cartoons kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like, like straight, like I watched every princess kiss some guy, and yet that's okay, and that's not adult. But like, you know, if 2 men or 2 women or 2 people of the same sex kiss, then it's like, oh, that's adult. So I want to undo and unlearn that. And for me, I think the first place that I would talk to a young queer person is just about how do you exist in the world. It doesn't have to be about sex, right? It just has to be about like, how do you exist and hold your power and hold your truth? And what does it mean? To me, it means living outside the lines. To me, it means, you know, ignoring societal norms. It means expanding into your full self. It means being curious. It means asking questions and not just following the blueprint. That to me is queerness. I think that's why we are so powerful and also so targeted, because we are the community that's like, I don't like that. That's not for me. I don't want to follow that. And I think there's more to the world than just this and that.
Yeah. And because the book is out now,
You better say that.
I want to give this to you, and I want you to look into your camera and give me your best QVC about where to get the book for people to read it.
Baby, the book is out now. You Gotta Be You, How to Embrace This Messy Life and Step Into Who You Really Are. Available at bookstores everywhere. I would go to your local bookstore, or if you like me and you like to listen, because I narrate it, get that audio book, baby. Now, okay? Great. Did I do it?
Yeah, that was good.
Hashtag You Gotta Be You.
Hashtag You Gotta Be You. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
To love.
To love.
That sets you free.
Yes, baby. Not as aunties.